Friday morning. Welcome to today's webinar celebrating Oregon STEM Week that features 3 nonprofits from around the state supporting K-12 STEM education initiatives. I love the folks in the audience. There are a whole bunch of people that I recognize, so yay. I'm Kara Toronto, if I don't know you. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at TAO, and I'm joined by Justin Martinez, TAO's Events and Program Coordinator, who's providing the back-end Zoom support and the fabulous music to start us off. I think we're all Zoom etiquette experts at this point, for better or for worse, but just in case, here's a couple of guidelines that we have going on today before we get started. We have all of our participants on mute when they come in. Remain on mute unless the TAO staff member unmutes and calls on you to talk. We all love barking dogs and kids, but we don't want to interrupt our speakers. You can ask or respond to questions in the chat box publicly or privately if you would prefer, by directing your messages to Justin Martinez. He's going to monitor the chat box to make sure all of our questions get answered. And if you're feeling stoked or want to support our guest speakers, we encourage you to use the participant icons to applaud or to give the thumbs up. Also, please feel free to join us on screen today, as talking into the Zoom void can be tough, and a friendly face, or in this case, a bunch of them, helps make it seem less like a vacuum. So please engage with us on social media during this call, throughout the day, and then beyond. We love to share what's happening at TAO and to get participant takeaways from our events. You can find our handles on the slide on the screen. If we run out of time during the Q&A at the end of today's event, we'll follow up with our speakers and post the answers to any unanswered questions in Mobilize, which is the virtual community for our TAO members. If you have questions about joining Mobilize or TAO, please reach out to membership@techoregon.org. So the TAO team is really excited to be celebrating the 7th annual Oregon STEM Week, which runs through Sunday, May 16th. STEM Week Oregon is a statewide movement to raise awareness of, celebrate, and engage in STEM learning. This year, Oregon STEM Hubs have partnered with Remake Learning Days across America to create a hands-on learning festival around the state, encouraging all Oregonians to design, invent, and inspire. If you want to amp up the social around Oregon STEM Week, please use general STEM Week hashtags, such as hashtag STEM Week OR, hashtag STEM Week OR 2021, hashtag Remake Learning Oregon, hashtag Remake Days OR, hashtag STEM Oregon, or hashtag Oregon CTE. We'll drop those in the chat. It's a mouthful. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce our 3 K-12 STEM leaders, technically 4, who will each share what they are doing in their respective region and how they're growing Oregon's diverse, talented, and inspiring future workforce. Each organization will share for about 10 minutes what they're doing, as well as ways that you can support their goals. And then we will put this on our YouTube channel so that all of our members can learn that as well. So please join me in welcoming Daniel Wenger, Division Dean, Arts and Professions at Portland Community College, and Nyla Murphy, Arts and Professions Division at Portland Community College, to talk about PDX Open Tech. They will be followed by Lisa OBrien, Central Oregon Chapter Director at Chick Tech, and Lisa will be followed by Heidi Larwick, Executive Director of Connected Lane County. And we're super excited about this because these are the 3 areas of the state where we actually have offices. Who knows what that means anymore? And it's cool to see what folks are doing for K-12 education, and in particular, the outreach across really diverse demographics. So sit back and be prepared to hear how these awesome orgs are doing amazing work to bring historically underrepresented groups, including rural and urban, together. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the PDX Open Tech team, and I will stop talking.
Everyone, my name is Nyla Murphy. I am a mentor for PDX Open Tech. I also work with the Northeast Team Coalition. Thank you so much for that introduction. And we're really grateful and excited to share our work today with you all. So PDX Open Tech develops STEAM courses and shares them on the web for free. Locally, PDX Open Tech delivers STEAM learning to youth in partnership with the Northeast STEAM Coalition, Pixel Arts, Portland Community College, and the Self-Enhancement Inc. So we work with the most socially conscious and innovative creatives and technologists in Portland and beyond to create and share courses in human interrelatedness, art, science, and technology. And we all know that representation matters. And it's just very important because the PDX Open Tech students that we serve are learning from a diverse set of creators who make a living doing what they love and use their passions to connect with others. I'm excited to get to this part, talking about what we teach, because we offer a growing catalog of workshops, including world building, live coding, visual programming with audio and music, and augmented reality. And we teach these STEAM workshops in tandem with equity frameworks, including critical race theory and Afrofuturism, among others. So I'll give you a moment to really read and take in what's on the slide, because the concepts of Afrofuturism have been around for a long time, and I had only been introduced to them in the workshop that I took with the students. And all the workshops that the students go through, I am in all of them as a mentor, but I'm also in them as a student. And so just as much as they're learning, I am too. In the Afrofuturism workshop in February, students were able to make and share Afrofuturist playlists, vision boards, and animations. They were really able to put together their own idea of Afrofuturism and perception of it, and how that interacts with their identities and how they can integrate that into their work and projects. During the workshop, we learned about how Afrofuturism is actually all around us. We didn't really realize that some of our favorite rappers, musicians, artists, filmmakers, creators, even our people that we admire in certain career areas, they were constantly innovating and integrating their culture into their work, which in essence makes them Afrofuturists. And using these equity frameworks like Afrofuturism in part with our workshops, it really helps the students, learn that they can more accurately represent themselves in their work and more accurately represent their identities in the media. We really like to share some of the workshops we offer and how each of them allows the students to develop skills that are useful in their creative work in the program, but outside of them as well. So in our AR workshops, the students learned a creative workflow from describing their experiences and prototyping those experiences in AR. We blocked out images on Google Drawing and took those images to the Unity software and adding 3D modeling. That process from beginning to end really makes this, this tech that's new and exciting to the students seem less intimidating. And this workflow was something that they can apply outside of tech, but really just in their work in school. Another way in which we can break down the accessibility barriers preventing BIPOC students from engaging in STEAM is by providing workshops that use free open source tools. I was a computer science major for about 4 months in college until I realized I needed to switch to a field more creative. I'm an English major now, but while I was in the computer science department, I realized that a lot of the software that I was being introduced to was not accessible to me outside of the range of time I was in class. So once the semester ended, I no longer had access to some of the C++ programming that I was introduced in school. So it left me thinking like, well, what am I gonna do now? I can't go further. And there's no one really on my back allowing me and giving me that access. The live coding workshops that are taught by programmer and experimental artist Clarissa Littler, they utilize Estuary, an open source tool that is easily accessible, user-friendly, and free to live code music. And I must tell you, it was really, really fun to like have this friendly competition with the students. exchanging beats, one-upping each other. Oh, mine's better than yours. It encouraged them to not only engage via Zoom, but to engage with each other. To teach habits of border crossing vital to innovation in STEAM, we partnered with Portland artist Patricia Vasquez to critically analyze where notions and experiences of borders come from and what artists and technologists can learn from people courageously crossing national borders. And again, these concepts and frameworks being introduced or reintroduced to students as ways to not only connect with other people, but break down those stereotypes that hold them and us in certain positions. It's just so important, especially for high school and middle school students who are still figuring out where they want to go and how to get there. In our 3D modeling workshop, the students were provided with a toolkit of pre-made assets that they can use to create a realistic virtual image of a person they choose to honor or a person that they thought of in their head and wanted to create. Providing those pre-made assets, it really, even for me, it makes this tech that there's a whole bunch of buttons and tabs and jargon that you're not familiar with, being provided assets, it makes not only creating something less intimidating, but it makes tech more inviting and more welcoming. So this concept of world building that we talk about, not only as in reference to the actual process of world building using technology, but as a concept that we can apply and look at how we can reimagine the world. World building teaches students to imagine a more equitable world. We engage students in building worlds that are more inclusive with more accurate depictions of their identities. I always think about, I'm a movie buff and I want to write movies. I want to write movies that are more accurate depictions of the Black experience. And growing up, I can't tell you how many times I watched the movie with the Black best friend role and how that role encourages a long line of stereotypes that reduce my identity to supporting cast. And if I look at world building as a concept applicable to all of my creative endeavors and the world around me, as a Black queer person, I am now allowed to create a space in the media and culture to represent who I am authentically as a main character in my own story. And, we talk about STEM and STEAM and, science, technology, engineering, arts, and all those things are important, but we have to first think about the way BIPOC people are represented in the media and how they have been historically not included in those areas. And if we can start in our own communities and start with our kids who are growing up to be the people working in all of these industries, the world can become a place the place that we imagine, a place that's more welcoming. PDX Open Tech believes a better future is possible, and I'm sure all of you do too. So in collaboration with public and private agencies and community-based organizations, we hope to build a new generation of diverse creatives and technologists that can give back to our communities and continue to foster a community that encourages for people to step outside the box, for people to try new things, to innovate, and to create. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and thank you for being here. This is our team. Everyone who's a part of it contributes and brings something different to the table. Those are all the ways you can contact us. And again, thank you for listening.
My name is Lisa OBrien, and I am the Central Oregon Chick Tech Director. I moved to Bend about 4 years ago, down from Seattle. I worked at Microsoft for 24 years as a project and program manager for global and strategic projects. Once I retired, I knew that I wanted to do something to give back to the community. And Chick Tech, I got involved with Chick Tech in one of their 2-day events that they held for the high school girls. And I got to tell you, I was hooked. And 3 years later, I became the chapter director right after that and have been with them ever since. So let's just go ahead. As I said, my slides are not nearly as engaging as Nyla's. I need to actually help me on these. But background who we are a national nonprofit dedicated to creating a more equitable tech industry for marginalized genders. And we use the acronym women with the X. And really that's to go for female identifying, transgender, and non-binary individuals. And we want to make a more equitable tech industry for these people by engaging them, inspiring them, and supporting them. We've been around since 2012, and we have 15 chapters across America. And we are lucky enough to have 3 chapters right here in Oregon. We have our Portland chapter, our Mid-Willamette Valley, and the Central Oregon, of which my heart and soul is with. Over the 9 years, we have been, I hate to say in business because we're a nonprofit, we've been able to work with over 30,000 women, girls, and their allies to help foster and empower their intergenerational community. And that was just kind of a lot of reading words off the slide. What I really want to do is go in and talk to you about why we are needed. These statistics are taken off BigRens.com and the Yale Scientific Org. As you can see, women and men in STEM, women comprise almost half of the workforce right now. But when you look at the undergraduate degrees, the women coming in are only about 40% of the undergraduate STEM degrees coming in. And it gets smaller as people enter their STEM career and stay there. Women actually exit the STEM career twice as fast as men do. So we're now down to 30% of the STEM career. Of that, as you start then getting up into the company board members, women are represented at 20% versus 80%. And then when you get into the CEOs, 3% versus 97%. So you can see that women, and especially the underrepresented women, are really, if you even start at the pipeline of the workforce and going into STEM undergraduate degrees and along the way, what is driving that? And I think that a lot less women entering the STEM field, but they leave it at double the rate of men, is really pushed by a lot of society's perceptions. Some of the information that we have is girls in 4th grade, over 66% of them really enjoy math and science. As they get to 8th grade and beyond, that just plummets. You start looking at what do we do, as Nyla talked about, as society's perceptions on us. When you look at women are very underrepresented in the media, only 37% of STEM professionals are played by in the media by women. You start asking younger children to draw what they think of as a scientist. 75% of adults depicted were men and 25% were women. And then when you start asking them when they get older, it's almost even more. So as society's perceptions, and I think that it actually infiltrates down on the girls and the women of what they're able to do, we're here to help empower them, give them confidence, give them support and mentoring to let them know that this is something that they can do if they're interested. How we do that is through our programs. And I know that we're looking specifically at the youth programs. Our cornerstone youth program is our Chick Tech High School. It's actually a year-long series of hands-on workshops and mentorships. One of the cornerstones that we have is the 2-day event that we have. We usually host it here at OSU. It's 2 days of hands-on workshops, inspiring talks, group activities. With that, some of the things that we offer are user interface design, data science, modeling, robotics, Raspberry Pi sessions with Python. We even use one of the things that I just love, which is called soft circuits. And it allows our girls to actually take their design and their critical skills into designing a purse, some work of art that's integrated with technology, that they actually program their lily pads so that they can light up different aspects of their design, play music, do alerts on it as they're learning and integrating that. Science isn't just about coding. It's about design, it's about integration, and you can bring all sorts of aspects and things in with that. Usually our annual Chick Tech High School comprises of 50 to 150 students at each chapter across the US. This 2-day event, which is usually held in person, we add on monthly or recurring workshops that are smaller, that keeps the girls engaged throughout the year. Now that's our typical year, and we all know this last year was not typical. So we were able to actually, I would hate to say turn on a dime, but we switched everything to bring this all online. And so this last year, we actually had 4 offerings each month to our students. 2 were hands-on workshops that were online. 1 was a mentoring session. And then 1 was a time that the local girls could get together and have a session with their own chapter and get to know each other. We had monthly focuses or themes, such as JavaScript in January, math in May, and we're finishing up with a 2-day online event. There's 4 hours each day. 1 is going to be hands-on workshops. These are going to be a little bit more in-depth. We're actually sending out supplies to girls and things like that for that first day. The second day is going to be more of a career focused, that they can go to virtual booths. I do believe right now we do have Facebook on board, Amazon, quite a few different. We have Tao. Tao is going to be there. So that girls can go through and ask questions. We've worked with EDCO for their mentoring program. We try to actually leverage other groups so we don't have to recreate the wheel. Central Oregon's kind of small. So Nyla, I would love to talk to you and see how we can engage with you going forward. One of the big things that we love about it is when we poll our girls, actually 73% of our attendees were more likely to pursue tech-related careers after they attended that 2-day event than when they started. I think of tears in my eyes, the first 2-day event. I was talking to a girl from Warm Springs. I asked her how things were going, and she goes, I am so excited. She goes, I've always tried to make my parents proud of me. She goes, when I got my nomination letter and read it at dinner, she goes, my parents cried. We're giving these girls opportunities that they don't have, and with remote learning, we've actually tried to bridge that gap by providing free remote Wi-Fi access and computers that we can go out and lend them. We're really trying to address some of the issues that we're facing in the COVID world. My best future is, I'm hoping that we can get back to in-person events. I'm already in talks with OSU about our 2-day events. We also, last year, we served over 90 youth events, serving 928 youths. And to date, since 2012, we've had 298 hands-on youth events to over 4,000 students. We actually have an adult program too. I know we're kind of focused, so I'll lightly touch on this. It's called ACT-W, which is Advancing the Careers of Technical Women. It's comprised of 3 components. We have our ACT-W Connect, which are local events where we bring local women in technology together, either through a networking, workshop, etc. We did that online this year. Unfortunately, I think everybody was zoomed out. So we've put that on hold until we can get back together again. But we have an ACT-W Plus online platform, which has a lot of content out there, live and recorded workshops, mentorships, subscription type basis. We have our ACT-W National Conference from July 26th to 30th, which will have some amazing speakers, workshops, ability to network with people across the nation. What our students are saying, you know, this is really what makes me keep coming back and keep going on with Chick Tech. Katie Jackman, who is a Summit High School, she was one of my first students to interact with us at our first 2-day event. And she talks about just loving it, really getting her geek on, can't wait to come back. I know now, I talked to her quite a bit. She is taking computer classes at her high school. She now has an internship doing social media and web design for a local company. The next one, Maisie, she attended 5 years ago at Chick Tech. And as she talks about that, she'd always been interested in this, but never really had the opportunity to participate. And at the end of our 2-day event, we have a technology showcase where the girls actually show their work and demonstrate what they do. And I got to tell you, they're so excited. And at that time, she says, I knew I was meant to do something and I was actually capable of doing it. She is now an engineering technician for rapid prototyping and product design for Laura DiCarlo. And she comes and talks at our conferences quite a bit. This last one is a student this year, and she talked about, she never really thought about being an engineer and wasn't capable, but through her experiences, she's now determined to become an engineer. So just having those kind of responses from the girls really just makes my heart glow and know that we're having an impact. Our local companies, these are some of our supporters. Ryan Commandeer, Chief Technology Officer at 5 Talent. He talks about having 5 daughters, and he wants them to be able to have the opportunity to learn and explore those things that will shape their future. He actually has a daughter in the program this year. He also understands how important it is to have a diverse workforce, and really supports us with our community of mentors and having the peers that they can connect with and building the confidence. Les Schwab is another one of our supporters. And Michelle Gross, who actually teaches our data science workshop, you know, she's really proud that she actually recruits a lot of their employees and vendors to volunteer at our events. And that it's really important to give these girls the view of a woman in technology, of a vision of it, and telling them that they can do it, and how it is, how we need to inspire them and to be able to pursue their skills, and how they can actually participate equally with boys in delivering technical solutions. Now that I've told you about this, I know you guys want to get involved. So there are so many ways you can get involved. You can volunteer, become a workshop leader, a speaker. Volunteering here, we have a volunteer opportunity for everyone, no matter how small your bandwidth or how big you want to become. I'm sorry, that's my friend Scam Likely. But anyways, I mean, if you have 2 hours a month, you know, we can use you. If you want to become one of our leader positions in a local chapter, we can use you. You want to be part of planning events, or you want to be day of volunteers, we can do this. Workshop leaders, we're always looking for companies to come in and lead workshops. Now, maybe we could leverage you guys for one of the workshops. If you want to be a speaker at our adult level or youth program, we would love to hear from you. As an adult, you can join our Active Youth program or our national conference. It's a great networking opportunity. We have corporate partnership plans that provide a lot of benefits and interaction with the businesses that is good benefit both ways. You become an individual donor. And one thing that is the easiest thing for you to do, Chick Tech is up for a $50,000 grant through Ring Central. And you can vote every day for us in May, because the amounts are going to be determined by how many votes we have. With the link, hopefully, Justin, we can share this presentation in the links. Just go up there every day. All you have to do is click as Chick Tech, and you can support girls and women in technology. If you'd like more information, we have our website at chicktalk.org. We also have links to our local chapter websites and meetup groups. We have the adult meetup groups in every chapter. If you have information or questions, you can always mail info@chicktalk.org. And just a big thank you for TEL for supporting Chick Tech and participating in our end of year event. And here you see a picture of our last 2-day event over at OSU and our participants.
So I'm Heidi Larwick. I'm the Executive Director of Connected Lane County, and we are an organization that's based in Lane County, which most of you are probably familiar with, Eugene and Springfield. But our county is made up of 16 school districts, 3 in our urban area and 13 in the rural. And I am in the very fortunate position in working with all 16 school districts, just shy of 50,000 students, and our communities range in size from 100 students in a district to 17,000. So the organization Connected Lane County was really created to create pathways in K-12 education so that when students graduated, they felt more passionate about their next decision and more confident in what they were going to do next. And so what I want to share with you today is a little bit about what we've done specifically around some of the STEM opportunities. And I'm going to share with you some of the local, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about some statewide initiatives so that if you want to get involved in your local community, you'll have an opportunity. I should say I don't have a computer science or a STEM background. I come from a community organizing and policy background. So my job is to really figure out what the challenges are and bring all the people together to solve them and find the money to pay for it. So that's a little bit of my background. So the 3 main programs I'm going to talk about today are Lane STEM, which some of you might be familiar with the STEM Hub concept. So Lane STEM is the STEM Hub in Lane County. Spark Lab, which isn't quite open yet, but it's going to be in about a month. It's a new physical space for youth to design and create and collaborate, similar to a makerspace, but a little bit more robust, and there will be real-time jobs and after-school programming that sort of builds upon itself throughout the year. And then Elevate, which is our career connected learning program. So you've probably heard that term before, but in case you haven't, it's really about creating work-related experiences or opportunities so that students connect the relevance of what they're learning in the classroom to something outside the classroom walls. So the most common thing you'll probably know about is internships, but there's also other career-related learning. So bringing industry into classroom to co-teach, or doing hands-on learning days for middle school students, tours, job shadows, things like that. All right, so a little bit about us. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things in each of these areas to kind of give you a sense of what we're doing here. I'll start with Lane STEM. Our work largely in this space has been in computer science and digital literacy. When we ventured down this road about 4 years ago, our high schools did not have any consistent computer science. There may be a teacher here and there who taught something. But what we really wanted to create were programs of study. So career technical education programs of study, which are typically 2 years long, build upon each other. Students at the end feel a little bit more like they feel more confident in the content. They can go on to post-secondary, they can walk into a job. So we started with that. And in 4 years, we have built 16 programs of study in 16 different high schools. And now the last couple of years, we've been working with 2 of those districts on adopting and realizing K-12 CS standards. So you probably might be aware, but the state of Oregon doesn't have like a graduation CS requirement. And so we're working individually with school districts to try to imagine what it would look like for every person, every grade to have the same computer science experience. So again, 2 of our rural school districts are in that process right now, which is pretty exciting. And then I'm going to jump to Spark Lab. So this is our new physical space, place where students can come and create and invent. Our first programming this summer will be called Invention Lab. It's a 5-week experience for BIPOC high school students. They get to come and learn about engineering concepts, microcontrollers, computer science, like all the things. And at the end, they get to create their own invention. So they'll be going through some curriculum every day. They'll work alongside a mentor. They'll have all state-of-the-art equipment at their fingertips, and they will be paid full-time as if they were working in a job. So really wanted to remove that barrier of feeling like they needed to support themselves or support their families. And so we had hoped for 20 students, and our current enrollment is at 31. So we are working hard to make sure that we don't have to turn anyone away. Just really excited about this. So more to come on that once we've had a successful summer. The last piece of the programming that I wanted to highlight is Elevate, again, our career connected learning. We focus on high wage, high demand, and populations who have historically not had access to STEM. And those are the students that we usually intentionally recruit. This summer, we'll be placing 50 interns into paid work experiences. We actually had a little over 350 applicants, and trying to select 50 from that pool was really challenging. I don't really like to say no, but there was just no way that our industry could handle that number of students. So we're going to work hard over the next few years to make sure that the students who didn't get a chance this summer can hopefully have one in future years. We'll be placing 15 teacher externs. So we have an extern program similar to an internship, but it's for educators. We place them for 3 to 6 weeks full-time into a company, working alongside a mentor on a project with the idea that they're going to bring different content to their classroom, hopefully providing students with really relevant and rich experiences and curriculum. This past year, we've also continued to do our career learning virtually. So we've pre-recorded and hosted virtual tours for students. We host a Working Wednesday webinars on topics like resume building, interviewing. We do things on the professional skills like collaboration and problem solving. We're getting roughly about 100 students tuning in each week, which has been pretty fantastic, given that we know how kind of exhausted they are from Zooming. They're still coming to the table. And then the last piece of our program is we work with students who have been disengaged from school or employment for any number of reasons. A large one that we're finding recently is mental health and unhoused populations. And so we work with them. We have case managers who work alongside them to try and re-engage them to complete whatever schooling they need and then set them on an employment path. So we help identify their skills, help develop their skills, get them work experiences, and hopefully a job placement. And so we have about a 200-person caseload right now. So those are some of the highlights of the work that we're doing in STEM. Sometimes I talk about these and I forget to say these are all in STEM careers. So all of the Elevate pieces are high wage, high demand STEM. When we're supporting the disengaged youth, we're trying to get them into high wage, high demand so they can support themselves. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of what we're doing. Now I'm going to shift just to the statewide focus. Like I mentioned, Lane STEM is one of the 13 STEM hubs in the state. So if you're not connected with your STEM hub, I'd love to help you connect because we're all doing the best that we can with the means that we have, and it does not work without our industry partners. So as a statewide network, some of the highlights of what we're doing include computer science and digital literacy, early learning, so working with early learning providers, so preschool providers on how to build STEM into their curriculum. We do a ton of professional development in STEM and then in the different content, math, science, computer science. And for the most part, everyone is working on career connected learning too. So that internship, job shadow, all those career related experiences. So that's the STEM hubs. Another piece that's happening is Lane County and Central Oregon are working on a pre-apprenticeship pathway in computer science. You could think of this like a traditional construction job where students have to take a certain amount of coursework. They have to do, an apprenticeship before they have a sort of get hired on full time. So we're developing that in high schools so that when students potentially leave high school, they are ready for a registered apprenticeship. This one's a little bit tricky because we used to have a registered apprenticeship and we don't anymore. So the pathway into it's a little squishy right now, but we're working that out. Regardless, the hope is that once Central Oregon and Lane County have kind of figured it out, that we'll be able to bring it to the state of Oregon as a model that could exist in high schools that will prepare students for tech careers. And then the last piece is that towards the end of last year, the STEM hubs worked together to actually create a new nonprofit called Oregon STEM, which the goal was really to help advocate and raise additional resources for STEM in Oregon. So this group is just kind of getting off the ground. We've had a few board meetings. We have a fundraiser coming up, but really the hope is that they can start to support the STEM hubs and other organizations, again, and just bringing more resources, identifying more resources to bring to local communities for STEM opportunities. And then the last piece, which Lisa also did, is to just leave you with some ways to get involved. I know I mentioned it before, but if you're not connected with your local STEM hub, I'd love to connect you with the director or coordinator in that region to find out what they're doing in your community. In terms of involvement, we're always looking for more industry folks to mentor students through project-based learning opportunities, or host an intern or extern at your site. One of the funnest things that we've done is bring industry into the classroom to co-teach with teachers. So if you have a passion for young kids and you want to pair up with an elementary teacher, find someone who would love or connect to your STEM hub. And we'd love to bring you into the classroom. I put a selfish one on here. We are looking for more BIPOC mentors for our invention lab this summer. So we have 31 students. I think we have about 8 mentors so far, but we really were hoping to have closer to a 1-to-3 ratio. So we're looking for a few more. If you know of folks who might live in Eugene or be willing to come to Eugene a few times a week, it's a paid opportunity, and just looking for more mentors if you have connections. And then the last thing, I know sometimes giving resources is easier. So if you have extra money or you have a sponsorship program, schools and communities are always looking for more devices and technology, iPads, cobots, CNC machines, the big stuff. But really, when we're talking about communities that have been under-resourced, these financial resources and these cool technologies aren't often available, especially in our rural communities. And so it's one way that you can sort of help reach the students who need the access and want to feel the love too. So I think that's it. Put all of our social media stuff on here if you want to follow us, follow along with the Spark Lab adventures, or if you have questions and want to connect, this is how you can reach me.
Heidi, thank you so much. What Heidi did not mention is at a statewide level, she has been functioning for a year as the person that really does bring all 13 STEM hubs together, has founded a new organization to oversee their work. And if you are not aware of what the STEM hubs do in the state, it is truly unbelievable, and particularly on the budget that they do it on. So stay tuned for more of that. We've got about 11 minutes left, and I'd love to open it up. I know we have a few folks out there from industry. We have some other nonprofit leaders, but happy to do questions or just a open roundtable of discussions from ideas, things you love to see more of. So I will again stop talking, but if you want to ask a question or start a conversation using our Mentimeter, which is a pretty cool app. I'm actually doing a NEPRIS presentation right after this because I think high school students are interested in what I have to say, but I incorporated Menti into my presentation so we can build word clouds together. So any thoughts, comments, questions, cool stuff other people are doing? Antonio, Lisa.
I would just like to say hello, everybody. My name is Antonio Jackson, and I'd just like to say those 3 presentations were awesome, very informative. You all did an excellent job. I learned a lot more about your organizations. I kind of knew a little bit about some of your organizations, but I think what you shared was great. And I look forward to being able to support in any way that we can. I know as another STEM-focused nonprofit in the Portland metropolitan area, trying to get young people excited about STEM at an early age is so important. But my biggest struggle is, or I guess in the industry, is getting them excited early, but then as they get older, the numbers start dwindling. And we see, unfortunately, that young people, as they get into college age and stuff, they're not getting into STEM majors as much. So I guess I'm just throwing the question out there, how can we look at trying to increase those numbers so that as they get older, when they get into college, they're getting into STEM majors, but then they're getting into STEM careers?
Anyone want to unmute and take that?
Well, that's a great question and a big ask. One of the things, Chick Tech, that we looked at, we were looking at extending into the college program area. Unfortunately, our bandwidth right now is not able to go out and support that. I know locally here at OSU, there is a women in computing group that some of my leadership team actually belong to. So I think that there are some groups out there looking at that. I think one of the questions is to really find out where they are and figure out what they might need and support them. Actually, when I went into college, I went into engineering and quickly switched out of that and ended up in business. But I think having very similar programs or clubs and support, I think if I had somebody mentoring me at that point would have been a huge difference, to not just having me at the spur of the moment decide this is just not right, and to provide encouragement and support that way. So probably one, if we could figure out where the existing ones are and maybe what they might need.
Something we're doing, I think, in that vein is, really working to align our workshops, our STEAM workshops for youth, middle schoolers and high schoolers, with our credit programs and courses at Portland Community College in STEAM. And also to assign some portion of those workshops to existing instructors. So students know you're learning the initial weeks of our creative coding course in our creative coding and immersive technologies program. You're learning the initial, couple weeks in our video production and emerging media program 360 video course. So they know that you're actually, this is college content. We're not taking you through the entire 4 credit, 50-hour, 10-week course necessarily, but we're exposing you to the same content that you're going to see when you enroll in those courses in the first couple of weeks of the course, or if you're in a year-long STEAM initiative like we're conducting now with Northeast STEAM Coalition, Pixel Arts, and Self-Enhancement Incorporated. Maybe you're going to see more, maybe you're going to see as much as half of that course over the course of the year. And you're going to meet our instructors. And then optimally, and we'd like to do this in partnership with more organizations, we would like to see some kind of credit for prior learning system in place so that wherever you were doing STEAM education, there was some way to credential your learning so it maps to the STEAM awards, the AAS degrees, the career pathway certificates and things like that we offer at Portland Community College. And I think that would be really valuable because then a student could actually see and maybe even graphically like, hey, you're this close to being able to demonstrate the competencies for credit in this particular college course. So you begin seeing yourself in college potentially years before you get there and knowing you've actually already learned exactly what we're asking of you in those courses and those courses preparing you for careers in STEAM.
That's good.
I think another thing that we faced here, Antonio, from the first 2-day event that we had here, the feedback from some of the parents and instructors was, this is all great. Unfortunately, some of these girls will never have the opportunities to go to a 4-year degree. So our next 2-day event that we had scheduled that COVID closed down was going to be the theme, oh, the places you can go. And we were trying to explore other avenues that these girls could take to get into a STEM career. We were looking the Avanti program, that was the coding, looking at some of our local companies coming in and talking about this is the type of jobs that we offer that are related to STEM, and the alternate avenues along the way. So I love the idea of looking how to keep the girls in college or the underserved in STEM careers. We also, I think, need to look at the other opportunities and other avenues that are available to them that are realistic to some of these girls.
Thanks, y'all, for that robust discussion. All right, I'm gonna ask Lisa to answer this one. For the youth high school workshop program, is there a specific need or area for teaching or mentoring
that's lacking? Really, what we're looking for in the youth high school workshop program is we've done a lot of the same workshops over and over. And I don't mind those, but I am always looking for new ideas that people might have that could really interest the girls. One of the key things that we have is at the end of the workshops, especially the 2 days, the 2-day ones, they have to have something tangible that they created. And that gets them excited. We've had people do 3D virtual reality programming, game programming, and things like that. There is just so much out there, and this area is evolving so quickly. I can't keep on top of it, but if people have great ideas for workshops, you know, would love to hear them. You know, you go to that link for the volunteer, and it asks if you want to do a workshop or volunteer, and they'll ask about the kind of things that you're looking at. Mentorship is very open. I think just the numbers we're trying to put together, you know, mentorship programs that we can pair people up with. If you're looking just even inspiring girls along the way, I think it's just right now bodies, people that are willing to do that. So if you're willing, we are happy to bring you in.
Thanks, Lisa. And I'm going to be the one that has to quickly end this, since I am going to actually go engage and mentor with some high school youth next. So thanks everyone for joining us this morning. Danielle, Nyla, Lisa, Heidi, thank you for sharing your amazing work. Don't forget, there are 3 more days of Oregon STEM Week, including today, which is Field Trip Friday. Tomorrow is Sounds and Shadows Saturday, and the week closes out with Soaring Sunday. And you can find activities for each day at stemoregon.org/STEM Week 2020. And I could stay on this forever. I think some of you know that this is my passion, but it's why I'm going to go teach some students about personal branding right now. So I better go before their teacher looks for me. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks so much. And thank you to all you leaders that are doing amazing work to make the next generation of tech workers and STEAM employees a little bit different than the one we have today. I appreciate y'all.